Hi everyone, welcome to Mrs. Shin's class. Today we're going to go over how to analyze a time series graph. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so what is time series graph? Time series graph is a line graph as you can see. Okay, and have a look at this graph. What do you notice? So the data is recorded Jan, April, July, October of the year 2000 and 2001. Again, Jan, April, July, October, Jan, April, July, October, and so on over the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, right? Okay, so time series graph, it's a line graph of repeated measurement taken over the regular time intervals. Okay, so in this case, every 4 months, the data has been recorded repetitively over 6 years. Let's have a look at this one. This time it's daily, Jan 49, 50, 51, 52. However, if you look closely in here, multiple data has been recorded in each day. So therefore, the interval for this one will be hours. Okay, so there you go. This is the time series. Now, if you want to look at how to analyze the graph, okay, you need to think about these 5 things. First, trend, the line of best fit that we discussed in the scatter plot. Okay, the next one is a seasonal pattern. Variation, unusual features limitation, and after all that, we can also use this graph to predict the close future. Okay, so let's have a look at the trend. Right, for the line of best fit, how do we draw the line of best fit in the scatter plot? It was a straight line like this. Yep, and remember the top, okay, of the half of the data should be above the trend line, half of the data should be below the trend line, right? Okay, so this is how you distinguish what type of trends you have. Right, have a look at the first one. Okay, if you draw the trend line, it's going up from left to right, okay? That means if you think about it in the linear, the gradient is positive, right? So we can say we have a positive trend, whereas this one, okay, what happens if we draw the trend line? It's going down from left to right, okay? And looking at the linear equation, if it's going down, the gradient is negative, so we can say this is negative trend, whereas this one, it's just a horizontal trend, right? No positive, no negative, nothing really changes, so no trend. So when you're describing the trend, okay, the first thing that you have to say is whether it's positive, negative. Okay, if it's positive, obviously it will increase. If it's negative, obviously it will decrease, right? Okay, so number 1 and 2, that's how you would discuss and describe the trend. And finally, you have to tell us how do you know this by back up the from the reading and looking at the data. Here's an example. Okay, let's have a look at the graph first. So yes, I know this is a line graph, okay, and representing the time. So therefore, it's a time series graph. If I look at the data, SU stands for summer, A stands for autumn, W winter, SP spring. So it's a season, yeah? So every season they recorded the number of sales of the ice cream. So what do you have to do? If you look at the time series graph, the first thing that you have to do is you need to draw the trend line. Okay, well done. Now, let's describe the trend line. Is it going up? Therefore, is it positive or negative trend? Yep, the ice cream sales has a positive trend. Okay, so therefore ice cream sales over the 4 years, it's increasing. Yep, that's how I can discuss. Right, what will be the next one? Describe how much is it increasing or decreasing. This time you have to add some values. Let's look at the answer. Okay, so it says ice cream sale increasing from 1.5, okay, to around $3 million over the 4 years. Where I got those two values are from 1.5 at the start over here. It's around 1.5. Yep. It was increasing, and at the end, what? It was almost 3, or just about 3. Yeah. So the ice cream sales increased from around $1.5 million to around $3 million over the 4 years. Okay. Right, finally, how do you know this? How do you know that the data is increasing? Okay. Right, this time, let's have a look. This is shown clearly by increasing peaks in summer and by the increase in troughs in winter. What does it mean? Where's my peak? Every summer, I had the peak, whereas every winter, I had the troughs, right? So if I just compare the peaks every single year, it's increased over the years. And also troughs, okay, the minimum sales of the year, it also slightly increased. Okay, so by seeing that both peaks and troughs increase over the years, I know that the trend line has a positive trend. Okay, and I know that it's increasing over the years. That's how you need to discuss the trend. Are we okay with it? All right. So there you go. Ta-da! We have covered how to analyze a trend. Now let's look at the cycle, which is talking about the seasonal pattern. Alright, seasonal pattern. This is where a repeating pattern occurs at regular interval along the time series. Okay, so if you have a look at this one, right, what do you see? Seasonal peaks. And I think just after the peak, it's a troughs. Yep, that's a highest rapid fall over there. Okay, so I have sort of repeating pattern over the interval, right? Let's have a look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you notice? Yep, every time when it's 1, 1, 1, it was all peak over the 3 years. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, every time 4 was a troughs, the minimum value of that year. When you see the regular peaks and troughs at regular interval along the time series, okay, then that's a seasonal pattern. Right? Okay, so using this, obviously you can predict the close future, what's going to happen by looking at the past. So obviously, every time over here we had a peak, so I assume that's going to be peak and followed by 1, 2, 3, 4 troughs, somewhere around there. Okay, so I can predict using this pattern. Okay, so this is what you need to discuss when you're talking about the seasonal pattern. First, what pattern do you notice? You have to explain in words, in context, and how you notice. Okay, and describing the repeating pattern, when it's the highest, when it's the lowest, where is the second highest, where is the second lowest, and so on. What sort of pattern does it follow? You have to describe it. And why would the graph follow this pattern? Give some insight according to what context you've got in there. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, we're back to ice cream sales. Right, number 1, what seasonal pattern do you notice? Obviously, the most sail in summer and least sail in winter. How do you know this? Just explain. Yep. The sales of ice cream in summer are always above the trend line, whereas the sales in winter are always below the trend line. If you have a look, this is a sale in summer, always above the trend line, whereas winter, it's always below the trend line. Next, describe the repeating pattern. Right, what sort of pattern do you see? What sort of pattern going around here? Every summer, we had a peak, most sale in the year. What was the second highest? Yeah, it was autumn, right? And then it had a major fall back down to winter, reaching the minimum sales over here. And in spring, it starts to recover and rapid increase back in summer. Okay, so that's what I just said. There you go. And I included some numbers to prove it and I read it up from the graph. The highest sale of the ice cream is during summer, $2.5 to $4 million. Where did I get 2.5? Okay, if I look at the summer, it's around here, 2.5. And over here, it's at 4. Okay, so there you go. There's my value. And the second highest is in autumn, right? The number decreases after autumn until they reach the lowest winter. Winter, I added some values as well. Again, winter around 1.3. Over here, it's around 2 million. Okay, and I explained that they then start to increase slowly to spring, and rapid increase there is to reach the peak in summer again. Okay, and have a think about it. Why would the graph follow this pattern? Why would people want to buy more ice cream during summer than winter? Yeah, obviously the weather is hot. Yeah, we look for something that could cool our body temp and so on. There you go. Because during the summer the weather gets hot, people tend to buy more ice cream than winter. Okay, give you insight why this might have happened. So there you go, this is all about seasonal patterns. Remember, in trend, you had to discuss the 3 things, and in seasonal pattern, you had to discuss the 4. Okay, let's see what the variation is. Okay, variation. We've got 1, 2, 3 different things. Constant variation, increasing variation, decreasing variation. Okay, I think that's very straightforward to distinguish the difference. The constant variation is along the trend line. That's about the length is constant. So over here and over here, it's sort of parallel to each other, right? But whereas increasing variation, if I draw the line along, what do you see? There's more variation, increase in variation as the year gets through, right? Whereas this one is getting smaller, okay, and smaller. So as a year, the variation decreases. So I'll say decreasing variation. Okay, using some values, I will say this variation around the trend line does not change. It has constant variation from 1990, the start year, 1990, all the way up to 2012. Okay, 2012. Right? It'll be great. It'll pull you up to excellence if you put some insight here. Why you think this happened. Okay? Any valid reason would do. So there you go. That's all about variation. Okay, finally, unusual features and limitations. Let's have a look what this is about. Right, unusual features. What do you notice? What do you notice? Yep, if you have a look over here, what happened? There was a major fall, right? What about this one? Yep, it was following the seasonal pattern. Okay, it was all following the seasonal pattern except this year. That's the unusual feature. That could be one of your unusual feature. Okay, these are small changes in the series due to unpredictable factor. Okay, for example, sunglasses, they had a regular sale following the trend. Yep. Okay, but what happened in 2008? Not many people bought it. So it stops following the seasonal pattern, right? What would be the reason behind it? So say it's not true, but say we had SARS or any sort of virus like COVID, coronavirus, something like that back in 2008, and nobody was allowed to go to shopping, to buy it online, anything. Okay, it was a like complete lockdown, right? In that case, you see, there would be a fall for a year. So some sort of these cases you could think about, and bring it, give you insight. They'll be great. Okay, limitations. What to discuss in a limitation? Okay, let's have a look at the question. Susie is considering living in one of these towns, which is North Island and South Island. She dislikes the days when it rains all the time. Which time would you recommend her? Okay, by looking at the pattern, looks similar. How do I know the difference? How do I know which area, which town to recommend her? Well done. I need to look at the side y-axis. The maximum in the South Island rainfall in millimeters is only about 70 to 80, whereas in the North Island it's 140 to about 160-ish, right? So which one has more rain? The North. Okay, so obviously I should recommend South Island to her, right? Right, then what will be the limitation of the starter? Yep, Susie should find out how the rain is distributed throughout the day. So for example, yes, I know North Island has more heavier rainfall compared to South, but it might be pouring at night, okay, and be back sunny during the daytime. And there might be like thunders, lightning at night, when you go to sleep. And in the morning, it might be, sunny again. We don't have that information, do we? So we never know. So each month, that's the average rainfall. So it doesn't say when, how the rain is distributed throughout the day. Okay, even though it's only 40 to 70-ish, okay, millimeters per month, the rain, it might be drizzling all the way, whole day. Yeah? Light rain, shower, just all the time. But if you measure the millimeters per month, it might be much less than the North. Okay? So those sort of things will be the limitation, and that what you need to refer. Okay? And also, January, February, March, January, February, March, so 1 year, 2 year, 3, 4. The data is only recorded for 4 years. This is not enough. We should have a longer time period, okay, to be more certain, okay? Make sure the data is reliable. So this is about limitations. Okay, so yes, we covered the trend, seasonal pattern, variation, unusual features, and also limitation. That sort of thing, including the unit and in context obviously, is what you need to discuss when you're analyzing the time series graph. Okay, so then, using that, let's see if we can make some prediction. these three steps are what you need to consider when you are making prediction. How much data there is. Okay, so remember the previous question, it only had 4 years of data. Okay, the more data you have, the more confident you feel about the prediction. So if you only have like 2 years compared to like 20 years data, which one would you prefer? Obviously 20 years of data, right? The more data you have, more confidence you'll get. Okay, and now next you have to see how reliable is a seasonal pattern. Right, what do I mean is let's have a look at the graph on the right hand side. Green is Q1. Yep, so all the green is above the trend line. And if you have a look at the Q2, purple, okay, it's always what? Below the trend line. And so is the Q4. Okay, Q4. Every Q4 is below the trend line. However, look at the yellow one, Q3. Is it always above the trend line? What happened to this one? It's below. So, and the rest is either on the line or just above the line, right? So, if you have more things like that, which one is odd one out, okay, it's not so reliable. But in this case, it's just one, this yellow one value here. So I could say, yes, the seasonal pattern is reliable. That's how you need to say whether it's reliable or not by looking at the seasonal pattern. Okay, next is what time period are we predicting? So this one only has 2005 to 2011. So if we were to say predict 2012, right, it's just around here, right? So yes, I think I can predict with confidence. However, if it's asking like 2020 or even 2015, okay, that's like years back. In that case, we never know what's going to happen in our life. You know, the coronavirus, nobody expected. Back in like 2 years ago or even a year ago, nobody expected it, right? So if we're looking at further back future, okay, like to in 3 or 4 years time, it's harder to predict. Okay, so that one you should remember every time when you are making prediction. Okay, so there you go. We've finished everything. We covered all 5, how to analyze a time series graph. It's all about time series, so I want you to have a go and analyze a time series data. Okay? Well done, everyone. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.